Cynthia, hey, congratulations on this show that's they already aired 3 episodes. Why Women Kill.
Why Women Kill. It's very exciting. Thank you.
So tell us, how were you brought on board onto this project? Because it's not a minor role; it's a recurring role throughout the entire season.
It is. It's recurring in 9 out of 10 episodes, which is very exciting. This came to me like any other audition, I guess. I've been acting for some time now. This is what I do. And this audition came through just like any other one. And I put myself on tape for it. And it took about a month for me to hear back, but I wanted it. I wanted it so bad. And I just really kept wishing on my lucky stars and doing everything I could to manifest this thing. And it happened. It came true. And I got the call and started working on this thing, I think late October, and we wrapped at the end of April. So it was 6 months of 1949 fun and transporting to another time in the midst of a pandemic. How beautiful is that? It was awesome.
You know, there are like so many things that are great about this show. I mean, I've already seen about 5 episodes of this show already, but what in particular that drew you into the show? Was it the period? Was it the costumes? Was it your character? What was it?
Oh, if I'm being honest, it was a combination of everything. First of all, Marc Cherry's name on anything that's a green light for me. Marc Cherry, everything he touches turns to gold. He would probably disagree and say that's not true. A lot of things have not turned to gold, but he is pretty known for creating these well-rounded, conflicted female characters. So for me, that was already a win. And then finding out that the season was set in 1949, it was just a no-brainer to be able to play dress up on that level. I mean, we had people doing everything we couldn't even put our undergarments on. They did everything in order to kind of put those looks together that made it look so effortless and seamless. And then the character just being this affluent member of society that other women aspire to. I mean, they're very much mean girls. And I'm not proud of that, but it's fun to be able to play that in make-believe and to kind of be high society, you know, especially as a Latin woman. I feel like my ancestors during that time weren't living that life. So for me to be able to transport and live that life in that way in 1949 was a blessing. It was awesome.
Now, for those people who don't know, could you tell us, kind of give us a brief description, no spoilers, of course, of who Brenda is?
So Brenda is one of the members of the Elysian Park Garden Club, which is led by our president, Rita Castillo, which is played by Lana Parrilla from Once Upon a Time. And so she has her entourage of beautiful ladies that are garden club members. And there's only 20 members let in at one time. And there is the lead character of the show is Alma Philcott, played by Allison Tolman. And she wants nothing more than to be a part of this fabulous elite group of socialite women. So I was lucky enough to play one of those women, which was incredible, you know, so awesome to be a part of that. In the process of Allison Tolman's character, Alma, trying to get into the club, craziness and madness ensues. And the whole show basically studies the depths that one woman is willing to go through in order to fit into what society deems perfect, so to speak.
I think this is a significant role, especially for you, because 9 out of 10 episodes, that is a lot.
It's a good one. It was a good one. And it's funny because when I put myself on tape, I knew that it was recurring and I didn't know it was recurring to that extent. I thought maybe an episode or 2, but like, it's Marc Cherry, this would be amazing, you know? So when it came back and I found out that it was such a through line in the story, it was awesome. It was a no-brainer to do this, especially in the midst of a pandemic when as actors, we were wondering what happens now. I mean, so many of us were like, do we keep going? Is the industry going to bounce back? When does it come back? And so the self-tape thing kind of just started trickling in. So when this one came in again, like I said, it was another self-tape. It was another audition that you're just like, is anybody even seeing these things? I'm not going into the room. I'm just putting them on tape and throwing it out there. And then for it to come back and be such a beautiful project to be a part of. I mean, aesthetically beautiful, but just a beautiful experience. I mean, to play with such great actors and such great creatives and all the directors that we had on board and just all of it. It was a dream. I found myself many times like wanting to pinch myself. Like, is this my life? Is this like the world is in a pandemic, but I get to play in this world right now. Like it's awesome. Yeah.
That is pretty awesome, and I certainly hope that there are more twists and turns, obviously, as the season progresses.
Oh, many, many more. It's just getting started. It's just getting started.
So how was it being a part of that Mean Girl group led by Lana or Rita Castillo?
Yes, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I mean, so it's funny because if you ask any of us actresses that were a part of that club, we'd be like, oh, these ladies are so not us. And as the 6 months progressed, I was like, okay, we have to be honest. There's little snippets of us in every one of them. That's why we're able to kind of, dig deep and pull that out. I mean, none of us are mean girls. We're all very sweet ladies, but women who are confident and know their place in society and know what they deserve and kind of stand for that. I don't want to say demand, but sometimes you have to kind of demand what you're worth. And I think all of us kind of share that in the Garden Club. Some of us didn't want to be as mean as others. I just went with it. I enjoyed it. I honestly just followed Rita's lead. So if Rita was feeling a certain way, Brenda was feeling a certain way because she is our president and she is our leader. And that's how those groups tend to go. The one woman decides this is not in style anymore. And so everybody's like, okay, no, this is no longer in style. We follow this now. So we were her minions, I guess, her entourage, her beautiful entourage.
Well, 1949, they still have exclusive clubs and their own psychological bullying back then. So.
Exactly. And you do it safely and they yell cut and everybody's cool. It's not like you don't go to sleep at night feeling like a horrible person for behaving in such a way. Nobody should actually behave in that way. As you stay tuned and see some of the madness that ensues going forward, it gets pretty crazy and pretty mean on different levels. It broke my heart to shoot some of the stuff that we shot because I was like, oh, in life, this would be devastating. But it's not, it's make-believe. So I'm just going to go with it and be in this elite society. And I'm on this side. I'm so sorry for you. You're not. Maybe one day. Yeah, but that was the story. So I just had fun playing with it.
As I think this is a dream role for you because as an actor or actress, you get to play dress up. And just for the few episodes I have seen, you probably went through so many costume changes. Talk about these costumes. I mean, how many do you end up, fitting and wearing throughout this entire season?
More than I can count, and more than was even seen. We actually had a green screen segment where we were dressed to the nines, in episode 2, which got cut. The creatives didn't feel like it really served the story. It seemed as if it was leaning towards one way, and they wanted it to go to another one. So that one hit the cutting room floor, but. Beautiful gowns that will never see the light of day and hours of wardrobe and costumes that will not be seen. Janie Bryant was our costume designer. She has done so much, most notably Mad Men. And so she's known for her period pieces and that bit of it. But we would have 3 and 4 hour long fittings sometimes where we would just go dress after dress after dress. A lot of these pieces were authentically vintage and authentically couture. And so some of them were so tiny or ill-fitting or zippers were breaking or, seams were coming undone or because they were real vintage gowns. We had extensive undergarments. We were corseted and like old school corset, like grab the wall. There's 3 ladies pulling you as hard as they could to get you into these dresses to make sure you looked phenomenal. But like after a while, we started to embrace that pain. There was one episode where they were like, you don't need the corset, the dress fits fine. And I missed it. Like you, in the beginning, you're complaining you can't breathe, you can't eat. And then after a while, you're like, oh, I kind of like it. Like you developed a relationship with everything that it took to put those looks together. The hats, the hair, the makeup, just all of it had to coordinate and come together to create the beautiful aesthetic that you see on this show. I think that's actually one of the story is amazing. But visually, to slip into 1949 and to just go on that visual journey of the costumes, not only in the Garden Club, but for the men that are on the show, for Vern the detective, for Scooter, and just to see the depths that Janie went through. I mean, there was nothing out of place. She's very detail oriented and she has a very detailed team that all work together to bring that aesthetic to life. So props to her. She made us look good.
Did you end up having a favorite outfit for yourself on the show?
Ooh, that is really, really hard because they were all so beautiful. I tend to love the gowns with the opera length gloves and that whole look of it. Actually the opening scene of the entire season when Rita Castillo walks into the restaurant and wearing this kind of blue, like a periwinkle dress, that was really gorgeous. And during that time, we had a hair team that loved to do my hair up very tall and very high. And it was just on another level of anything that I would normally do for myself. So I really enjoyed that look. Just getting dressed up to have that moment where she enters the restaurant and be able to see her. We would all like talk about like, wow, we just got dressed for 4.5 hours and this is going to be a blink of an eye and then we're done. But we look good in that blink of an eye. It was worth it.
Hey, I think you look great. You look gorgeous in every
scene
that I've seen so far. So, costume, hair, everything. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with it except for putting it all on. I was just the mannequin that got dressed as everybody was pulling and adjusting and pinning and keeping eyes and all that good stuff. It's definitely one of those projects that you look over and, all the girls have 5 people on them at one time, adjusting this and adjusting that, and just to get the look perfect. But in the end, it was next level beautiful. Janie is a legend for a reason. Let's just put it that way.
That is excellent to hear.
Yeah.
Tell us about this 1949 production set. They really did almost felt like they took a time travel machine and went back to 1949. I felt it felt like a late 1940s, early 1950s movie.
Yeah, we shot at CBS Radford, which is in Studio City here in Los Angeles, and we did a lot of soundstage work for the interiors of the homes and whatnot, and that was gorgeous in and of itself. But we also shot out at the Disney Ranch up in Santa Clarita. And so the exteriors that you see were all done and built on the Disney Ranch. So there was a whole kind of downtown section and the neighborhood and all that. And me and the other actors would look at these huge homes on this Disney Ranch. And, Alma Philcott is supposed to be this lowly woman, this poor thing. And we're looking at that house like, wow, this is what we're calling poor. All right. So then we must really be affluent members of society. But they didn't miss anything. The production designers were so on top of everything. The vehicles, I'm a car lover myself. So I would stop on location and just stare at these cars as they were coming through, but everything down to the extras were dressed to the nines. So anything that's placed in the scene just kind of transported you. Everything came together so beautifully, but it was all because of the hard work and the commitment to this era and to this project that brought it to life in such a way. But even seeing it, I was in it and I see the show come to life now and I'm like, wow, blown away by just how beautiful it all tied together, Very nice. So
truthfully, how's your gardening skills?
Oh, horrible. I have a black thumb is what I call it. If you want me to kill your plant, then you should give it to me. I do not have a green thumb. I have a gardener and a landscaper that does that. But you know what? The women of the garden club don't actually do their own gardening. So it works. I am qualified for that club perfectly.
I know it is. I do have to admit, it is a great show. That's a really good opportunity for you. So let's talk about you, Cynthia. How did you get started in the business? Why did you want to become an actress?
So I was the little girl who was always performing for anybody who would watch. But growing up where I grew up, I grew up in North Carolina to working class parents that didn't really look towards the arts. Both of my parents are Puerto Rican. I was born in Arecibo, Puerto Rico, but I grew up in North Carolina. And so they were busy working and I was doing the school thing and didn't really find that love of acting. But looking back, was always the girl that would choreograph performances for the neighborhood, for all the parents, and get the kids together and do these very strict rehearsals where I would make sure everybody was hitting their mark and everything had to be perfect. And so that was in me for quite some time. And then at the age of 11, I started doing beauty pageants and modeling and whatnot. And it wasn't until I was out of school and on my own that I started hanging out with some art students that were doing films. I was working at a modeling agency at the time, and they were sending me out for like a commercial audition here and whatnot. And I started dabbling in the world of short films, and I fell in love. And I was like, this is it. I was the little girl who didn't really know what she wanted to do. Like, I could be a plastic surgeon, or I could be a lawyer, or maybe a veterinarian, or like, I was all the things. And then I found acting, and I was like, I get to do all of those things in this world, this like non-committal. You're extremely committed for a short period of time, and then it's done, and you get to move on and be somebody else and do something else. And so for me, that dynamic was super, super interesting. So I moved out to California and I started studying, and this became my full-time thing. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not taking no for an answer. I will figure it all out. I had no connections in Hollywood. It wasn't like I had an uncle in the business that was going to introduce you to somebody. You know, I very much had to pave my own way and fight for my seat at the table. And that took some time and a lot of constant effort and perseverance of putting yourself out there and going for all the opportunities and really immersing yourself in education so that you are the strongest actor, so that every opportunity that comes your way, you know, you're shooting your best shot towards those opportunities, and then the rest will fall where it may. So my journey wasn't quite the straight line, but as soon as I found it, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm a lifer. You know, I would meet other actors that were like, I'm in it for a year. If I don't book anything in 6 months, I'm going back to Oklahoma. And I always knew like, no, that's not my path. Like whether it's now or at the age of 80, this is what I love to do. And as long as I'm enjoying my journey, I am happy and I am fulfilled. And now I'm just grateful that I've had such beautiful opportunities that have come my way and landed in my lap and allowed me to play on the level that I wanted to play on, you know? So, but it wasn't through it was all hard work and perseverance, you know?
That is great dedication by you.
Yeah.
Do you recall the your biggest moment in a film or TV project for yourself that basically like you would carry on for the rest of your life?
This would be it. I mean, as of now, this is definitely the mile marker for me. Why Women Kill, working with Marc Cherry, working with a team of creatives on this level, working with even the ladies that I worked with amongst the Garden Club. They're Broadway stars. They are huge actresses, you know, working with Lotta Priya, working with Allison Tolman. They are on this level that like so many actors aspire to be on. For me, working in network television a few years ago is when I kind of started really narrowing my focus and saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do network television, you know, because as an actor, you're like, well, I just want to act. I'll do anything. And as soon as I narrowed that focus and said, no, I really want to work in network television. And that started happening. That was definitely one of those, like, I have arrived moments, like, wow, okay, I'm doing network TV and, you know, and I'm a part of this world. This is awesome. But booking Why Women Kill and working in Marc Cherry's world and really being an integral part of the story, being a part of all the table reads and everything from the start of each episode and seeing how things change and how stories change, you know, even up to the shoot day, you're getting new pages sometimes and, you know, revamping things. That would definitely be my greatest hit, I guess, to date was booking that and having a chance to play in that world. But I will say this year has been pretty phenomenal. And it just like the hits keep on coming. Things just keep getting better and better and better. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds. But right now it's hard for me to think about anything else other than this amazing opportunity that I had. I've never had the chance to work on a project for 6 months so intensively. I've done feature films. Usually it's a month and a half, but to just 6 months of really getting to know people in a time where we were all so disconnected and alone was a dream come true.
Why do you suppose what is the formula to Marc Cherry that makes it so successful? I mean, what about him that he could bring it all together?
I think Marc really gets women, and he writes women and the subtleties in the dynamics of the relationships that women have so well. I mean, you see it in shows like Desperate Housewives and Devious Maids, and I think that Why Women Kill is very along those same lines. He speaks that language and he portrays it in a way that is accurate, not stereotypical. But Marc's writing also lifts off the page. You get a scene or a script and you read it and the words just flow. Like you can tell it's music. Acting in general, when you're in a scene and you're performing or whatever, it's music, and you can hear when you're not on the right note or when you're off or you're not in it or whatever it is. But reading so much of Marc's work on this show definitely made me look at a couple of other scripts that came my way that you were struggling to memorize, or like the words weren't making sense. And I was like, Marc's just flows. It's like, I don't Beethoven, or, you know what I mean? It was classical composure as opposed to just words on a page. You realize how important that is to tell a story in this kind of seamless way. It's not enough just to put your words on a piece of paper and trust an actor to bring it to life, but it really starts on the page. And I think that's what Marc does so well. You know, he brings women to life.
Now, you mentioned just a little earlier that you love the network television. Is it because that because network television, because it's episodic, you're part of a larger world rather than the film where it's just like briefly, and you could actually establish like sort of like I want to say friendships on the set?
I think so. I think also coming from the indie film world for quite some time, which is where a lot of actors kind of start. And honestly, it's a world that I loved. And for a long time thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be the indie film queen. And I just want to do indie films. That you pour so much of your heart and soul into projects sometimes that never see the light of day, or that, you know, we'll do a festival circuit or whatever it is, and they might have notoriety in one circle, but in other channels, not so much. Network television, it's a little bit more gratifying in the sense of, you know, you're going to see it. The problem is things are edited, things are pieced together, so you don't get a chance to really sink your teeth into the meat the way that you do with a film project or something that has a little bit more depth. Now, obviously that depends on the television show. But with network, I really like that, I guess the creative process and seeing it all come together, working on a show like Why Women Kill for 6 months and visualizing it one way and then seeing it after it's gone through post and through everything and being like, oh, that's what it looked like. And that's a really cool feeling for me. I mean, there are definitely constraints and things on the other side of working in network television. There are a lot of players. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. But I think as an actor, that's incredibly freeing when you know that. I have so many acquaintances and stuff in the industry, and you know, you audition for a job, you don't get the job, and you beat yourself up, and you're like, well, why didn't it happen? And when you really look and you pull the lens back and you see how many players are involved and how you have to fit the vision for that story, not just for the director or the producer, but for everybody going up that chain of command, I think it takes, for me, a little bit of the pressure off. And it's very much like, well, this is my product, this is what I bring. And if that's what the studio and the network and the creatives want, then awesome, let's play. And if not, no hard feelings, moving on. Because it wasn't just one person that was like, no, they're not right. Like, you don't know where that happens in the chain of command. So yeah, but I enjoy network television. I enjoy working on the studio lots. And I think that's part of like being a kid growing up and seeing that, you know what I mean? Going to Universal Studios in Florida when I was a little girl and being the one that would volunteer for any time they needed an actor to do anything on this. I was so excited to be the one. And now when I'm actually at the Universal lot working on a show, I'm like, wow, and the Universal tour goes by and people are taking their pictures. It's like, it's kind of cool to be on the other side, you know, and be a part of that world. It's what I grew up dreaming about. So it's kind of just come full circle, which is, it's funny how life does that.
Now you're watching these episodes as they are released weekly, right?
Yes.
For the first time, just like anybody else, right?
Yep.
Are you watching it with family or friends, or you throw a party? I mean,
no, I thought about it before it was happening. Me and the Garden Club ladies, I think, are getting together this week to watch episode 4, which is coming out on this Thursday. I think it's the 17th. We're very excited about that one. That one was directed by Eva Longoria and was one of my highlight episodes, working with a strong Latin director. She was just incredible. She was amazing. But no, I haven't done any screening parties, watch parties. It's fun enough just watching it at home with my family and kind of seeing everybody's reaction, because it was very hard for me to stay quiet for 6 months and like, no spoilers. Most everybody that I know was a fan of season 1, especially when they found out that I was on Why Women Kill. They started watching season 1, even though I told them, you don't have to watch season 1 to know what's going on in season 2. They still did, and they got hooked because it was such a good show. So there was even more excitement going into season 2 to see like, well, what's going to happen now? So I'm just enjoying watching it through other people's eyes, but also just seeing it come to life for myself, because it's so different than being there. You know what I mean? Knowing that, okay, well, we shot that, it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I was half asleep, but here on this episode, it looks like it's 10 a.m. and everybody just had their breakfast. You know, it's funny how that works out in the world of post-production. It's nothing like it actually was in that moment.
I completely understand. I've been on sets. I know
Yeah,
the studio that you're talking about in Studio City.
yeah,
It's kind of hidden behind these walls, but yeah, I know
it is. It is. But it's
exactly.
cool to be on the other side of those walls and be like, oh wow, be the tables kind of turn. It's very interesting because that particular studio, CBS Radford, was one that I have auditioned at, obviously many times over the years, and it was always a thing. And when I would stop and really think what I wanted for myself and for my career, CBS Radford was always that the visual of pulling up to the studio and knowing the security guards and kind of going in to shoot the project that I was working on. The visual was always CBS Radford. So when this happened and I was showing up to CBS Radford and saying hello to the security guards that knew me, it was very much one of those full circle moments in life that you're like, oh, wow, this is exactly how I visualized it. And here I am. Like, again, pinch me. Am I dreaming? No, this is life. Okay, let's get to work.
That is awesome. So do you for the future for yourself, do you have like a sort of like a list of dream roles that you want to play? I mean this is already a dream role, but I mean like other roles.
I love playing strong, smart, savvy, sophisticated women. And that for me is an umbrella that can be anything from, detective cracking a case to the 1949 housewife. They're both strong, smart, sophisticated women. But the professional women, definitely I gravitate towards. I come from a big law enforcement family. So for me, playing cops is always a nice homage to my father, who's in that world, and to so many family members, uncles and cousins. And I am immersed in that world. So I have a lot of inside info into it. So I guess the dream role would maybe to be on a show where I got to play a lead detective that was, cracking some sort of case, or the story kind of revolved around her. That would be pretty cool. An attorney also, again, smart women that you have a hard time getting one past. I really love that. Yeah.
Well, good thing network television loves those type of shows. Attorneys, cops. That's
Perfect.
That's on their list.
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, Cynthia, before I let you go, I know I've taken a lot of your time here. Could you give us a teaser of what should viewers expect for the rest of the season for Why Women Kill? And obviously, I know exactly of the Eva Longoria directed episode that's coming up soon, but what about for the rest of the season?
What to expect? I think it doesn't matter what I tell you to expect, because it's going to go in another direction anyway. I am interested to see the ones who can figure it all out kind of as the story unfolds, because there are going to be so many twists and turns. There were so many episodes that I read before the table read, or we would, do it, and my mouth would be hanging open like, whoa. And then the next episode comes back and it's not what you thought, or it's this or it's that. So just buckle up and prepare for a ride. From what I hear from some of the post-production guys that I've talked to, things really ramp up episode 4, episode 5, and then it starts to get kind of wild. But prepare yourself for more beautiful costumes and beautiful world and just crazy drama that comes together. You've already seen in the first 3 episodes where you're like, wait a minute, this person is with this person, but that's this person, and they all kind of like link up. That will continue to happen, and craziness will ensue, and it'll all come to a head at one point in episode 10, which will be interesting for the world to see. I don't know anybody can predict how it's all going to unfold, and I wish I could tell you more, like specifically with spoilers, but you are going to have a good time. You will have your heart broken for some characters, and you will be thoroughly surprised.
That is excellent to hear, because I'm pretty upset that they only sent me the first 5 episodes.
Oh, we'll just wait.
And didn't allow me to finish it. Now I have to watch it like the rest of everybody else.
Yeah. Well, but it's worth it. It's worth it. You got to see, the first 5 is pretty good. You already got the sneak peek. So you got to see episode 4 with Eva's episode, and how much fun we had in that. We had a lot of fun.
That is an excellent. I'm not spoiling, but that is actually a pretty good episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. Just working with her, when I saw her name on the script, I was like, wait, Eva Longoria is directing this? And how warm and friendly and welcoming she was on set. I cannot speak more highly of this woman. I was a fan of hers before working with her. She is a seasoned pro when it comes to acting, when it comes to directing. She's about yay big. She's super tiny, but a powerhouse. And just, I could watch her forever and learn, and the control she takes on set, but how kind and courteous she is to every single person she works with, and how she knows how to get what she wants and move on. It was just an actor's dream. So I'm very excited to see that one come to life, because I have such fond memories of that, couple of weeks that we got to work together. Lots and lots of fun.
I know. I met Eva a few times. She's like the nicest person, and what I really love about Eva is that she likes to focus on Latino voices and
she does
and productions, and hopefully she'll do more of that in the future.
Well, that was one of the things that I really loved about her working on this show. Even though I must give it to Marc Cherry, there's a lot more diversity when I'm seeing it all put together. But in my garden club, I am the only Latin girl. Lana is half Puerto Rican, half Sicilian. And then there was me, and, the other girls are not. So to work with Eva and to have her, I don't want to say point that out, but really kind of hone in on my being there and my telling Brenda's story from this place of authenticity and of being a Puerto Rican woman, and bringing that to life was really beautiful. She was very welcoming. I think I felt seen, if that makes sense. I'm sure there was a time for her when she was on Desperate Housewives, and she was kind of the lone one in the group and whatever. And I felt like she saw me in that moment. We definitely had good conversations and good connections where I felt like, okay, I'm representing right now, and I feel like I'm doing it very well. And I feel honored that she sees that in me. So yeah, she's doing big things. She's incredible. I hope that I can follow in those footsteps. Her directing, her producing, her creating content for people of color, for the Latin community is it's on another level. It's definitely admirable, and I applaud her. Yeah.
Well, you already took a step in the right direction already with Why Women Kill. So hey, you know what? I can't wait to see you in more stuff, Cynthia, and hopefully we'll carry this conversation again on your next project.
Yes, for sure, for sure. We'll see what happens from here. I've had the opportunity to be day playing on a few things. I did a couple of days on American Horror Stories, which is, I think, coming out in July, and so stay tuned. You'll see my face popping up in other places, but nothing quite as fabulous as Why Women Kill. I'm still waiting for that one to come along. We'll see. We'll see if anything tops this, or if this is the icing on the cake. I don't know. This is a good one.
This is a good one. Well, hey, Thank you, Cynthia, for carrying this, for talking to us about Why Women Kill, and about yourself. And
thank you so much.
Everyone will see your face everywhere.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next time.
Awesome. Have a beautiful weekend.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.